Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fowler Project. My name is Jeff, and I wanted to start this video off first off by saying thank you so much to everybody that watched the first video on this channel. Everybody gave a lot of great feedback, great comments, and I'm super thankful for those of y'all that took the time out of your day to watch that first video, and even more grateful for those of you that decided that it was good enough to come back and check this one out too. I also want to give a big thank you to the Shelf Space community on Discord run by Jesse May's channel. They were a big part of the reason why I decided to start my own channel, and so many of y'all came out and supported me on the first video, so again, a huge thank you to everybody from over there. That channel was also part of the inspiration for this second video. A few of us were talking about the new Batman trailer, and some people were asking for some Batman recommendations. So I thought a nice second video would be to kind of go over an introduction to the Batman comics and a few starting points if you wanted to start reading Batman before our new Batman movie comes out. So to start, I want to talk a little bit about the history behind Batman. Batman first appeared in Detective Comics issue number 27 in 1939, created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger. Bob Kane had a good amount of various inspirations for the character. A lot of it came from some of the pulp detective stories that were out at the time. He's marked the 1920 film The Mark of Zorro as a big influence on the character. And oddly enough, he's also referred to the blueprints of Leonardo da Vinci's Ornithopter as a big influence on the bat-like aspects of the character. Bill Finger had a few more literary influences on the character. He sees Batman as kind of a combination of D'Artagnan from The Three Musketeers and Sherlock Holmes as kind of the source of his detective-iness. That's not a real word. Just as we've seen a lot of variations of Batman on screen, ranging from the campy Adam West show of the 1960s.
Hand me down the shark repellent bat spray!
A routine question. Have you recently sold any war surplus submarines, and if so, to whom?
To Christopher Nolan's dark and realistic Dark Knight trilogy.
Don't let me find you out here again.
We're trying to help you.
I don't need help.
Not my diagnosis. What gives you the right? What's the difference between you and me?
I'm not wearing hockey pads.
Batman's gone through a lot of evolutions and changes throughout the comics too, especially because so many different authors and illustrators have taken up the pen to tell his story. So it can kind of be a little confusing when you're looking at the lineup of where exactly should you start when you want to start reading the Batman comics. So I pulled 4 books that are, I think, excellent places to kind of jump into the story. None of these require a whole lot of back knowledge. Pretty much any of these you can just pick up and start reading, and you will be just fine in terms of understanding the story and understanding what's going on. Alright, the first book that I'm going to talk about is Batman Year One by Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli. This book, as you might be able to tell from the title, is set right at the beginning of Batman's story and time in Gotham City. Just started putting on the mask and taking to the streets to fight a lot of the mobs and gangsters that are running around in Gotham. This book doesn't have a whole lot of supervillains. It's got a very grounded street level detective story. Like I said, it's Batman mostly dealing with the various mobs of Gotham City. This not only serves as a great introduction to Batman, but also a great introduction to the Gotham PD as a whole, and especially Detective Gordon. This is almost just as much a Detective Gordon origin story as it is a Batman origin story, and it really explores kind of the themes and impacts of Batman being a vigilante and working outside of the law, and how Gotham PD is going to either pursue him or cooperate with him, and if he is a good influence on Gotham City as a whole. Alright, next up is The Long Halloween by Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale. If you like the premise of Year One and early Batman story, but were a little disappointed when I said that it didn't have any big supervillains, that it was just the street level mobs of Gotham City, then this is going to be the book for you. This still has a lot of the mob politics in it, but it also starts to introduce all of Batman's greatest villains. We've got the Joker, the Riddler, Catwoman, Poison Ivy, Solomon Grundy. This is kind of a who's who of Batman's rogues gallery. The story in this is a year-long murder mystery, so it's another great way to kind of showcase Batman's detective abilities and mystery-solving skills, and kind of really explain why he's also known as the world's greatest detective. Number 3 is The Dark Knight Returns, also by Frank Miller, now illustrated by Klaus, Janson, and Lynn, Varley. If you are a fan of Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises, while reading this, you're going to notice that this book has a lot of influence on that movie. There's a few scenes in here that are almost taken beat for beat, frame for frame, and translated into film, and Nolan did a great job doing that. This story is set in a dystopian Gotham in the near future. Batman is now 55 and has been retired from crime fighting for the last 10 years. He decided to put down the cloak after the death of the second Robin, Jason Todd. That would make a pretty boring story if he just stayed retired for the entire book, so obviously something happens to kind of draw him back into the fold. He decides that Gotham needs Batman again and begins fighting crime. But as he does this, we start to see a lot more problems spring up throughout Gotham City. This is a great Joker and Two-Face story, so if you're big fans of those Batman villains, you're going to like this one a lot too. This also kind of explores some themes, kind of considering, is Batman actually a net good or a net bad on Gotham City? And is it worth having a vigilante running around if he's not working inside the parameters of the law? Number 4, Batman, The Court of Owls. This is the most modern book out of the selection that I have today. It was written in 2011 as part of DC's New 52 initiative, which was aimed to kind of start with a clean slate and let new readers come into stories without having to have a whole lot of back knowledge of the last 80 years of comic book history. This book introduces the Court of Owls, which is a newer addition to the Batman mythos. They're kind of a 1% elite Illuminati-esque society operating in the shadows of Gotham City and kind of pulling the strings. This is going to be another kind of mystery that Batman has to solve. Again, kind of highlights his detective abilities. Now, the first 3 that I talked about are all very easy to buy. You can purchase these in one book editions. This one, especially the edition that I'm holding, is worth noting that this is only volume 1 of this story. If you buy this copy, you're also going to want to pick up volume 2, which I'll flash a picture of right here. Alternatively, there is an edition that combines both of these, which looks a little bit like that. As this story was being published in monthly editions, DC did have a large Batman family crossover event called the Night of Owls, which is a great introduction to a lot of the various members of the Batman family. Batgirl, Batwoman, Nightwing, Red Robin, Robin, Jason Todd. If you are interested in kind of getting a taste of who all those people are, I also highly recommend picking up Batman Night of the Owls, which is collected in this edition, which can be read right in the middle of this story too. So that is my introduction to Batman for Newbies Guide. If you enjoyed this, please let me know in the comments. If you're already a big Batman fan, go ahead and drop down what your favorite Batman story is and let's chat about it. Once again, thank you for stopping by and checking out the Fowler Project. Big shout out to the Shelf Space community for being so supportive of this channel from the beginning, and I will see y'all in the next video. Peace! Year-long murder mystery, so really kind of delves and can showcase Batman's detective abilities and